I'm Drake Martin with Coldwell Banker Town and Country out here in Moreno Valley, Redlands, Claremont, Covina. It's good to see everybody on the call. Most of you guys have your cameras off, so I'd love to see some smiling faces, but I know how it goes with Zoom sometimes. So we'll go ahead and get started here. Today's class is offer presentations. Basically trying to get your offer accepted the first time. I know it's super competitive right now. It's always pretty competitive. And anything that you could do to set yourself apart from the other buyer's agents out there that are submitting offers, you're going to want to do to give your buyer the best chance of getting their offer accepted. I know Vicky just put in the chat, any questions in there? Yep, I'm open to questions at any time, so feel free to comment in there and put your questions in there. But back to the core. So anything you could do to set yourself apart and get your offer accepted, especially in a super competitive environment, you're going to want to do. So what does that mean? The first thing is following instructions in the MLS, and we'll go through this. I just kind of want to set the stage a little bit. Follow instructions from the listing agent and the MLS, submit a clean offer, submit something that doesn't look like it's been scanned 100 times over, making sure that you're submitting it with, proof of funds, pre-approval letter, FICO scores, all that stuff, and basically submitting a professional, clean PDF to the listing agent. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here and get into this a little more. Can everybody see the MLS up on their screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And like I said, I don't know the experience level of everyone on the call. It may vary. So some of this may seem pretty basic to some of the more experienced agents on the call, but I'm going to kind of go and start with the basics. So, if I'm talking about MLS templates or MLS Connect or any of those things, you're like, oh yeah, I've known that for years. Why is he talking about that? Like I said, I don't know everyone's experience level, but hopefully everybody can learn from the call here. So the first thing I want to do is share an example of what we would consider a bad offer. This is an offer that we've been training at our office, training from at our office for years. And we'll start with a bad offer, and then I'll teach you some tricks on how to make a bad offer a good offer. So just right off the bat, this is what we're considering. And this obviously, this is an old offer. This is so we've been training from this for years. This is an offer back in 2005. This is a real offer back when people were faxing things over. But the general teaching points of this offer are the same. And the RPA, you'll notice, looked a lot different, 15 years ago than it does now, but still has a lot of the same general concepts on it. So when I say submitting a clean offer, right off the bat, you can tell that this thing's been scanned 100 times over. It's unclear, it's distorted. The offer here is for a property on Bunchy, so you can see the message is an offer on Bunchy. I have a 1031 exchange letter that says they're buying a house on West Horn Street. So little things like that, that's not matching up. If I go through this, there's no pre-qual letter. They do have FICOs, but you can just see that this isn't the most professional looking offer right off the bat. And I haven't even looked at the terms of this offer. So making sure that you have something clean, and I'll go through the steps on how to get a super clean PDF offer that doesn't need to be scanned. You can do everything from your computer or your phone. So just looking at this, we're not looking good off the bat. And what I want you guys to keep in mind is the perspective of the listing agent when I'm going through this class. It is an offer presentation class, but the listing agent and the seller are ultimately the ones who decide which offer that they're going to accept. So anything that we could do to impress the listing agent and make them believe and know that we're the more professional agent of the other 8, 9, 10 offers that are on the property is going to help us get that offer accepted. Believe it or not, there are listing agents out there that and sellers out there that aren't all about the net number. So if you can convince a listing agent, hey, this offer may be $1,000 or $2,000 less of a net, but I feel 100 times more comfortable with this agent because they're more professional. They submitted a cleaner offer. Their pre-approval looks stronger. Everything about this agent I like, and I know that their offer may be $1,000 less than this offer over here. but I like this agent, I trust this agent. And that happens more often than you would think. I know personally when I'm representing sellers, one of the most important things I look for is the professionalism of the other agent that I'm working with, not so much the price and terms of the offer. So we'll dive a little bit deeper into this bad example, and then I'll show you some ways to improve upon this. This is not an offer writing class, but there's a lot of elements that of offer writing that go into this course. So just right off the bat, we'll point off some errors that will raise red flags for listing agents, and really keep the listing agent's perspective in mind. So this is, like I said, 15 years old offer. RPA looks a little bit different, but some of the teaching points are exactly the same. So right off the gate, a couple mistakes jump out at you. There's no close of escrow date in here. So it looks different than it does now, but close of escrow shall occur on. There's no date and there's no time frame. That's the first red flag. We're only 5 lines into this offer. We have no idea when this escrow is supposed to close per the contract. So pay attention to things like that. $2,000 deposit and an increased deposit of $50,000. That's probably not what they meant in this offer of doing an increased deposit. I would assume that's the remainder of the down payment. First loan in the amount of, there is no first loan in the amount of. So this offer right off the bat is filled out incorrectly. Just little things like this that set you apart. And of course, I'm going to get off the bad example because I don't want to teach bad. I'll show you how to do good after I show you this example here. Other things that you see in here. This is good. So buyer and seller shall pay their escrow fees 50-50, seller's choice or roll in escrow. That's fine. Seller shall pay the owner's title insurance. It doesn't specify who that's going to be. Now, it may seem like a minor thing to a lot of people and say, oh, well, the seller will just choose that or do whatever you want. But when I'm seeing that, I'm just seeing red flags and I'm seeing incorrectness in offers. And it's just raising another red flag. So we already have 3 or 4 on this offer. Another one here, they're asking for a home warranty, but it doesn't specify if the buyer or seller is going to be paying for this home warranty. Again, a small thing, but was this agent rushed? Is this agent new? Do they not know what they're talking about? Another thing that kind of raises some red flags. So when you look at this, I think you're always being judged by how you write your offers. You're being judged by the content of the offer. You're being judged by how the offer looks, the way that it's scanned. Did they miss signatures? Did they do it correctly right from the beginning? So make sure that you keep an eye out for those things. I do think they add up and they show what kind of agent that you are. Are you the professional agent that's going to get the deal done? Are you a part-timer that doesn't know how to properly fill out an offer? And it's going to give me a lot of concerns about moving forward with you. So now that we've shown you kind of some of the things that you look for on a bad offer, let's go into how to submit that proper offer to get your offer accepted. I'm just going to use a real live example of a house that's in the MLS I just pulled this morning. But let's just say that we're going to write an offer on this Via Junipero house here out in Riverside. Now, the first thing you want to do before you're writing your offer, obviously you're going to show the property. And this is really when it starts. It doesn't even start when you send the offer, but it's about that early on process of showing the house and building rapport with the agent. So the offer presentation actually happens way before the offer is actually written. So in the MLS, you want to go in here, find your showing instructions, and follow those to a T. Now, again, remember, put yourself in the perspective of a listing agent. How much does it drive you nuts when they call you and they ask you questions that are in the showing remarks? It's vacant, go direct. Of course, you always want to call and confirm, hey, I see your property's vacant. I have someone that wants to show it at 10 o'clock. Is it okay for me to show? Oh yeah, that's perfect, that's fine, go ahead and show it. What if it says, have you ever been the agent that, the property has very specific instructions and says, hey, the seller has an alarm code on this property and make sure to call me before you show it. And then you get a call from that agent, hey, I'm showing your property, the security alarm's going off and it's going crazy. And, can you tell the seller to come turn this off? How bad of an impression does that leave on you as the buyer's agent? You know, if I have a listing and that happens to me, it drives me nuts because it clearly says in the showing remarks, this property has an alarm. Please call me before you show, so that I could set an appointment and make sure that that alarm doesn't go off. So if you're that agent that just shows up to a property, sets the alarm off, it doesn't follow the instructions, I'm taking note of that. And if you do submit me an offer, right from the beginning, I know that agent doesn't know how to follow instructions. They've proven that to me since day one. So right from the beginning, make sure that you're communicating the agent when you're going to show this communicating with the agent when you're going to show this property. The second thing, follow instructions to a T on here. I know a lot of agents use different emails or special instructions on where to send the offer to. So on this one here, I see, please email me the RPA, proof of funds, the DU, to both Mendel and Lisa at this particular email address, Mendel and Lisa at Active Realty. If I'm submitting this offer, I'm going to make sure that I'm submitting to both of these email addresses and CCing both of them. If I only submit one, and again, remember being the listing agent, you send me over this offer and you don't CC my partner, Lisa, you're already proving again that you can't follow instructions, and it's just another red flag that these listing agents are looking at. So follow these to a T. I know some people use like special emails. I know that we do it on a lot of our listings where I have a normal email address, drake@cbtownandcountry.com, but right very clearly in the instructions says, please email the offers to offers@cbtownandcountry.com. And we do that because it helps us track the offers, and you get a confirmation email as soon as you submit the offer to that email. So we get it all the time where it's like, hey, I just sent you over an offer. Did you receive it? And we'll say, well, did you get a confirmation email saying that you received it? No, I didn't. Well, you probably sent it to the wrong email address then. Did you, make sure that you're sending it to the right place in the MLS. So obviously reading these MLS printouts and following the instructions is critical. Don't be the unprofessional agent that is running around showing properties that they shouldn't, or not following the showing instructions, or asking questions that are already answered in these instructions. Another thing, just to kind of go back to setting yourself apart and being the more professional agent out there. Let's just say you do call a listing agent, they don't answer their phone, or you don't get them on the first try. Then they call you back, you don't answer your phone, and you don't have a voicemail box that's set up, or your voicemail box is full. Now it's okay to miss a call, and I don't want to call anyone out on this Zoom call right now, but how many of you guys don't have a personalized voicemail when you miss a phone call? You get the robot, right? So if I'm a listing agent, I'm calling you back, and you go to voicemail and it says, it's the robot voice, right? You have reached 951-675-1644. That's another red flag for me as the listing agent. Is this agent a full-time real estate agent? They don't have their voicemail box set up that identifies them as, hey, this is Drake Martin with Coldwell, Town and Country. Sorry, I missed your call. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. They have the robot voicemail. Maybe you look into that a little bit deeper, but that's showing me that this is someone that's not as professional as another agent. So if that's you on the call and you don't have an outgoing voicemail, please change that immediately. Identify yourself as a real estate professional. It may seem like a small thing, but as a listing agent that reviews a whole bunch of offers and talks to a whole bunch of agents, there is definitely a correlation between agents that do have voicemail boxes set up and the ones that don't. And the ones that don't have their voicemail boxes set up are almost always less professional agents. So please, please, please change that. Even worse than not having your voicemail box set up is having a full voicemail box. Who's ever called someone and you get you can't leave a voicemail because this person's voicemail box is full, right? That's like the kiss of death for us in our office. If I get that message, what is that portraying to that listing agent? That you're not returning your phone calls, that you're not listening to your voicemails, you're actually not checking them, that your phone doesn't even have the ability to receive voicemails because you're not clearing them out. You're not returning your phone calls. So that again is another big red flag to us. I don't want to work with an agent that's not going to answer my phone calls. They're not going to return voicemails, and that I feel like I'm going to have a hard time of getting a hold of. So we're 15 minutes into the class. We haven't even talked about, offers yet, but this is all part of the package. It's all part of building that rapport with the listing agent and having a professional work environment with them and giving them that comforting feeling that, yes, this is an agent that I could do business with. This is a full-time agent. They're not a part-timer. They know what they're doing. And I would feel comfortable accepting this offer. And these are all things that you may not think matter, but they 100% matter. 100%. I could have a great offer, but if I can't get a hold of you, or if I feel like uncomfortable going into it, I'm going to go with a different offer. I'm going to go with the person that I know or that I think is much more professional than your offer. So keep those things in mind. Do we have anything in the chat? I saw a little box pop up.
Nope, nothing yet.
Oh, good to go. Perfect. Okay. So now that we're into that, we're going to go into some of the actual offer presentation portion of this. And communication is key on this, communication with the listing agent. So before you even submit the offer, you should probably have 2 to 3, maybe 4 conversations with the listing agent before you even get to that point. We just touched on the first aspect of it. Hey, I'm going to show your property. You mind? I'm going to be over there at 10. Is that okay? Yes, go for it. After you show the property, hey, I just showed your property. My clients loved it. They're thinking about writing an offer. I'll be in touch with you later. Just getting the more communication, the better. And then, of course, when you're going to write the offer, and that's what we're going to get into here next, even more communication about the terms of the offer before it's even sent. Who here has been a listing agent and you just get an offer sent to your email inbox and you have no idea who this person is? You've never talked to them. Maybe you have a vacant property that just says go direct, and this agent, they just showed it. They didn't tell you that they were showing it. And then you get an offer in your inbox. You have no idea who it came from. You're just like, oh, wow, I wasn't even expecting this. I didn't even know you showed the property. So always letting them know what you're doing. And we'll get into some of the other terms as we move into actually writing these offers, which we're going to do now. So now everyone should see my zip forms up. Can everybody see that?
I see it.
Perfect. Okay. So, like I said, I don't know everyone's experience level, and this isn't an offer writing class or an MLS template class, but it all ties in. So I'm going to quickly talk about zip forms templates before I go into the offer writing. If you're a real estate pro and this is what you're doing, as your career, you should have an MLS template set up for purchases. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, go talk to your office manager or whoever trains you on that stuff to help get this set up. But basically in the MLS, you have what we call templates. In this, I have my purchase template 2020. This is what I use to write offers. If I open this up, it has some of the commonly used forms that I have here. And if I open up my purchase agreement, it's already going to have my company's information in there, my company's license information, my license, my name. Again, just showing a level of professionalism. When you're a listing agent, you get an offer that doesn't have your basic information filled out and all this is blank. It just shows me again that you're not as experienced, or maybe you don't know what you're doing as much as a different agent. In my template, again, I already have my stuff filled out. I have my license numbers, who I am, who my company is. Some of the kind of standard things are already in here, and this is going to save you lots of time writing your offers. So right from the beginning, I have sellers going to pay for an NHD, sellers shall pay for termite report and clearance, sellers paying for retrofits, buyer and seller are splitting escrow fees, each to pay their own. Escrow is going to be Coldwell escrow, seller's choice. Title is going to be Orange Coast title or seller's choice. So all this stuff is already filled out for me, so that when I go to write my real offer, I don't have to go and check all these boxes. I know that these are the commonly used items that I use when I write my offer. So again, if you don't have templates set up, get that set up, and it'll save you a tremendous amount of time. Okay, so now back to writing our actual offer here. So I'm gonna write one.
Drake, can I just say one thing too?
Yeah.
Going back to your template, which is a great idea. We do train on that, but you want to start with your cover sheet actually first, because you can fill in all of that information with the buyer immediately at that point too, and the property.
Yep, absolutely. So I do have that. Like wasn't doing a full-blown template,
Right.
but Vicky is 100% right, and she's a pro and she knows what she's doing. So you have your cover sheet here. I have all my information filled in here, ready to go. If I'm writing multiple offers for one client, or I know that it's a client that is looking at a lot of stuff, then I would make a special template. This is my Vicky Carpenter purchase template, and I would have my information in here. And in this cover sheet, I would fill out all of Vicky's stuff so that I don't have to write that every time in a new offer. There's nothing more time consuming than writing stuff out that you don't have to write. So different class, that's the template class, but just familiarize yourself with how to use these templates, because they are big time savers, huge time savers. So when I'm going to write my offer now, and like I said, not a zip forms class, but it all kind of ties in hand. We're going to go write a new purchase. For this particular one, I'm going to pop the address in here. Some people do this differently. I put the property address. Some people put, the buyer's name. That's up to you. I like to put it in here and use this autofill, because it's going to pull over that information into your zip forms and automatically populate the address in there. That's kind of preference. I'm purchasing residential. This is where you go. I'm using my purchase template. So this is going to pull all that information over that I was just showing to you guys, and save you a bunch of time. So using my purchase template, or if there's a client that I'm, writing a lot of offers on, I might have a specialized template just for them and their terms. So this is a pretty generic offer here. I'm going to hit save. So MLS Connect, everybody knows what MLS Connect is, right?
Hopefully.
Hopefully everybody knows. So like I said, different experience levels on this call. I'm not sure, like some of the things I might say, like, oh yeah, obviously everybody knows what MLS Connect is, but some people don't. So if you're one of those that don't, this is a tool that if you're not using, you need to start using today, because it's going to save you time and it's going to make you look more professional. So if you don't know what it is, in MLS, you hit this little box here, and what we're going to do is pull all the listing agent's information into our offer. Again, another red flag when I'm reviewing offers as a listing agent and I see that they don't have my information in the offer. It's just blank, and where the listing agent portion is, doesn't have any information in there, either because the agent was lazy or they didn't know how to use this tool. So this is definitely a big time saver as well. So I'm going to grab my MLS number here. This is that house we were talking about. And we just grab our MLS number. I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to pop it in here. I like to include the photo of the property. You don't have to do that, but it's up to you. I'm going to hit this find button. It's going to find this house in the MLS. There it is. It pulls over the information, listing ID, all sorts of good stuff that you're going to want. We're going to import this over. Do you want to replace existing fields with imported data? Yes, I do. It's going to add that over. We're going to hit save. And what that's going to do in my offer, and not only in my offer, but on everything, on disclosures, on counteroffers, on all of this stuff, the listing agent's information, if this worked, is already going to be filled out here. So I didn't have to go in here and write Medley Payne from Active Real Estate, and I didn't have to write her MLS number, office MLS number, and her personal MLS number. That automatically pulled over. So again, if you're submitting an offer, if we go back to our example of bad offers, I didn't check this one out in particular, but let's just take a look. Okay, perfect example. So this is our example of the bad offer. Under listing broker, listing firm, it says Lance Martin. It doesn't say Coldwell Banker Town and Country. That's another red flag, incorrect. It doesn't have any of this contact information filled out. It doesn't have Lance's license number or his office license number in here. MLS Connect, I don't think was around in 2005, but that stuff should have been written in there. Like you see, she has on her side, her brokerage and her name and all this stuff filled out. But on our offer, I get nothing. What MLS Connect, what we just did is going to add all that stuff. So if I go to page 10 of this new RPA, it's all there. So I have Active Realty, Medley Payne, her address, her phone number, her email, the city, license numbers, everything's in there. It looks professional, it looks clean. That's what we want. Again, red flags for listing agents when that stuff's not in there. So really have to set yourself apart. Now I'm going to briefly go through some of the major items on the offer that we're looking for when a listing agent's reviewing these. And these are, again, talking points and another conversation piece that you could have with that listing agent before you send over the offer. So obviously making sure that everything's clean in here. Oh, another thing I almost forgot. We should be able to write it here, but put your buyer's name in there. I believe if I type it here, that's going to put it everywhere. So I'm just putting test buyer. Make sure your boxes are checked. Again, small things, but if I get a signature here and I don't have that they're representing the buyer with that box checked, it's more of an OCD thing, but it's a larger symptom of maybe this agent doesn't know what they're doing. So we're going down, make sure everything's in here. Oh, and another thing, the seller's name. If you have the seller's name, throw it in there. So we could pull this from Realist Tax, or maybe it's another phone call to the agent to confirm that's what it is. But just open up Realist Tax here. And I see that the owner's name is Madeline S. Cost. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that in for the seller. Like again, another small thing, but it just looks better when everything's in there and everything is correct. So back to the offer and writing the offer. Okay, so we've shown the property, we've talked to the listing agent, we're building a little relationship. If you don't know them, you're establishing yourself as a professional agent. You've let them know, hey, they showed it, they loved it. I'm thinking about writing an offer. It should be coming over soon. Before I write it, do you mind if I give you a call and just go over a couple of things before I send this and submit this over to you? Because really the goal of this is to get your offer accepted with no counteroffer. I mean, that's the dream situation. If you could send over an offer that doesn't need a counter, you're ahead of the game. Now, of course, you might vary on price or things like that, but assuming price is good, or if you could just get a minimal counter, everything is good, but they want this price, then it just keeps everything more simple. So small things, fill out the date prepared. If that's not filled out, another red flag. You can see here I have the buyer's name, the address, everything is filled out beautifully. County, city, zip code, the APN is in there. Another small thing, but you get an offer without an APN. It doesn't change anything, it doesn't hurt anything, but why didn't that agent take the time to fill that information in, especially when it's so easy with MLS Connect? So this is when you could start having some conversations with the listing agent. Hey, I'm going to be writing this offer. What close of escrow date works best for your seller, right? How many buyers agents are keeping in mind the seller's time frame to move when they write the offer? Oh, just send it over for 30 days. Who cares about the seller? Whatever 30 days lands on, that's when they're going to have to move out. No, I'm considerate of your seller. When can they close? Do they need more time? Do they have a moving situation that they want to do? Do they want to close on a Friday? Do they want to close on a Wednesday? What works best? Having that conversation with the listing agent will set you apart because nobody has those conversations. And you're going to impress that agent and say, wow, no one's even ever asked me when my seller wants to close. This is a little bit of a bigger conversation. Your office may teach this differently than our office does at Town and Country. We do not like putting 30 days in the contract for a couple reasons. Vicky's given me the thumbs up, so I'm assuming ABR is with us on this. Who could tell me when 30 days away? What day is 30 days from now? Who could tell me? Write in the chat box if you think you know what it is. Anybody? You guys are counting, right? You could probably have your calendars out. You're probably like, oh, 30 days.
Yeah.
Well, is it, that's going to be okay, whatever. Am I counting weekends? Oh, there's a holiday. Am I counting the holiday? What are we doing here? So instead of putting 30 days, we pick an actual date and we have that conversation with our listing agent. Hey, listing agent, what day works for your seller? Let me get my calendar out. 30 days is roughly July 17th. Does that Friday work? Maybe they're doing something. Maybe July 17th is a holiday. And if I just put 30 days in, it's not going to be right. Do they want to close on Friday? Maybe they want to close on Wednesday. Let's put an actual date in this contract. That way it removes any doubt of when this closing is supposed to happen, right? My seller knows, hey, our closing date's July 15th. Your buyer knows July 15th is the date. There's no ambiguity about this 30-day crap. I know exactly when our closing date is. And a seller might think, oh yeah, we're closing on the 16th. The buyer might think we're closing on the 12th because that's, the buyer counted 30 days differently than the seller did. Or the agent didn't tell them, hey, 30 days is this. So pick a date. Long story short, pick a date in there.
Drew, and just to piggyback, CAR Legal Risk Management does advise that you do exactly what you're saying for that purpose.
Yep. Thank you. I'm Drake, by the way, but no worries.
Oh,
Everyone in the comments, my brother is Drew. We're 4 years apart. Everyone mixes us up all the time.
Sorry about that.
I don't think we look anything alike, but
No, you don't.
don't worry about it. It happens all the time. So pick a date.
I can pick up.
Long story short, pick a date. Small things like this. So obviously we know agency, active realty is representing the seller, but if I have this checked, it means something totally different. So make sure that your boxes are correct when you're checking these. So we're gonna go back. Actives representing the seller, I'm representing the buyer. Again, it just shows me that you don't know how to fill out a contract if these boxes aren't checked correctly. What's the deposit gonna be? Make sure you fill this out correctly. I just say we're doing a $5,000 deposit. Don't select all. I've seen this. People select all cash offers when it's a financing offer. Make sure that you're filling this out as cleanly as you possibly can. I've seen this where nobody checks anything. So the default on the loan is if you don't check anything, it's a conventional, but I've seen it unchecked. And then my pre-approval letter is a VA or an FHA. Make sure that it's right. So if it's conventional, don't check anything. If it's FHA, click FHA. Make sure that you're getting everything in here correctly. Put your loan amount in there to the best of your knowledge. I'm just kind of making up some numbers. But get everything in there. Make sure that you're filling out your rate. Most people never ever fill this out. 5 might be a little high considering where we're at, but basically saying the rate's not to exceed 5%. Other things in here. Small thing, verification of down payment and closing costs. Check that box, attach your letter. We're going to go into that once we kind of go through some of the basics of this offer, but make sure all your stuff's checked. A lot of this is boilerplate, seller's going to pay for the NFT. It's already in there. Maybe you have a conversation with a listing agent. Hey, my buyer's thinking about getting a termite report. Is your seller willing to, to provide that report and a clearance if possible? Even having the conversation about who the escrow is going to be with the listing agent. And we all know the majority of time the listing agent controls where the escrow goes. But have you ever had the conversation with them? Hey, I'm writing over the offer. I, at Town and Country, use Cobalt Escrow. They're fantastic. My escrow officer sits right across from me in my office. I speak with her regularly. I know you probably have a relationship with someone at your office, but do you mind if we use Cobalt Escrow? You'd be surprised, what some listing agents say. And what the worst that they could say is, oh no, I use my person over here and that's who we're going to use. Okay, that's fine. I put in the word for my escrow company. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it. I'm going to put their escrow company in there. Again, starting that relationship with that agent. You're already talking to them about terms of the offer before the escrow is even open, and which doesn't happen a lot of times in our business. Who's the title going to be?
Right. There was a question about the personal check. You didn't check a box back up there. It defaults to wire. Do you want to go over that?
Okay, we'll go, not an offer writing class, but a valid question. The deposit here, so if you don't check anything, the default is for them to wire their money into escrow. That's what we want most of the time, at least in our office. We don't want to be taking personal checks from our buyers. It creates a whole nother set of issues with trust funds and logging in trust funds to the account. We don't want to do that. So if they wire it directly in, that's what we want. But if they're maybe a little old school and you can't, convince them to wire, then yeah, if they want to write a check, you check that personal checkbox. But nothing checked means they're wiring it in electronically. So good question. Another thing, title. So back to here, and these are just some talking points that you have with your listing agent. So, hey, I normally use Orange Coast Title, or whoever you guys use at ABR or Coastal Alliance. Have that conversation. But at Town and Country, we use Orange Coast. Hey, I have a great relationship with Orange Coast. Do you mind if they do the title? Oh yeah, that's fine. I've worked with them, and that's actually who I prefer. And remember, these are conversations we're having with the listing agent before we submit this offer over. And just kind of establishing those things. These are all pretty boilerplate stuff, seller paying county, city, HOA. Another thing, if it's not, do your research. If it's not in an HOA, there's no real reason to have these boxes checked. So another nitpicky thing, but and most people just leave them. Hey, I just left them in there. It's not in an HOA, but by the off chance that it was and nobody knew about it, I'm protected. Do your research on it. Have the conversation with the listing agent. Hey, I was doing some research on this. It doesn't look like it's in an HOA. I just wanted to confirm that it's not in an HOA, correct? Oh yeah, it's not in an HOA. All right, good. I'm going to take these boxes out. Same thing with home warranty. Hey, my buyer wants a home warranty. Is your seller willing to pay for that? So before we even submit this offer, I pretty much had a conversation with the listing agent and displayed my level of professionalism with them before I even sent the offer over. I know most of your guys' cameras are off, but who's doing this when they're submitting offers? I was going to ask for a show of hands, but obviously I can't see anybody. Hopefully everybody is, right? I saw there are a couple of people with the cameras on. They are raising their hands, so perfect. But you'd be surprised. Most people aren't doing this sort of stuff. And we all know that there's a certain types of agents in our community that maybe are a little more part-time, or they close 1 to 2 deals every 5 years. And they're maybe not as up to speed on the contracts or how all this stuff works. I guarantee you that if you have that conversation that I just had with the listing agent before the offer is sent, that agent's going to say, that buyer's agent knows what they're talking about. They know what they're doing. I could trust this agent if I open up an escrow. And really, the core of my offer presentation class is building a rapport with the listing agent. And now in a little bit here, I have about 20 minutes left. I'm going to go into some of the technical stuff of making your offer look pretty when you send it over, which is also important because remember, we don't want to be this offer that looks like crap. We want to be a beautiful offer. I'm going to show you how I can make my offer look great when it gets sent over. So now this isn't a fully complete offer, but again, not an offer writing class, but I'm just going to might make some more tweaks in here, but for the sake of time, I'm going to sign this offer digitally. I'm going to show you how I package it up and send it over to the listing agent. So hopefully everybody is using digital signature. I prefer to use it on everything, even if I have a buyer with me that wants to sign in paper. Now you may have different thoughts about that, but when we're showing property and we're in front of a house and I don't have a printer with me and they love it and they want to submit an offer right there, I have a laptop, I have a hotspot on my phone that gives me internet access anywhere in the world, anywhere that there's service, of course. And I could write this offer and make it look the way that it's gonna look, that I'm gonna show you guys from the hood of my truck in front of the house and send it over to that listing agent 10 minutes after I have the conversation with them, right? And that's a powerful thing to do. So everyone needs to learn some of the technology and how it works. I don't know, if you don't know how to use digital signature, you should probably take a class on that as well. Because if you're handcuffed to a printer and your buyer wants that house and it's like, well, I can't get back to, we saw the house in the morning. I can't get back to the office till 4 or 5. I have to print this offer out. You have to be here. We have to sign it on paper. We have to do all this stuff. You're losing time. You're losing time. So that what I'm showing you, I'm on a laptop and on a MacBook. I'm not going to use a printer. I'm not going to use anything to submit this offer over to this agent. So we're going to hit the e-sign button. Hopefully I have all my fields filled out correctly. I didn't go and examine the entire RPA, but if you miss some stuff, they're going to say, hey, you forgot this or you forgot that. So I use DocuSign again. Some people use the free ZipLogix digital signature. To be honest, I hate it. DocuSign is a significant product to the free ZipLogix digital signature. And again, not that it makes you a bad agent if you're using the free version, but when I see an offer that has ZipLogix, I'm like, oh, they use the free version of it. They're not as professional. They're not using digital signatures as often as someone that's really into the business is. That might be an unfair assumption, but that's the one that I make when I see it. Because if you're doing large volumes of business, you're using DocuSign because it's that much better. But we'll go through. So we're going to sign this offer. I am the selling agent. I have my information already in there. I have my fake buyer. All right, put in there as test buyer. So I'm going to email this to my personal account. Hopefully that doesn't confuse it because I'm the same person sending it to the same place. I set the signing order as 1 and 1. This is up to you. Basically, if you're not familiar with what that means, anybody can sign at any time. If you put an order, hey, the agent has to sign it before the buyer can sign it. I don't do that. Everyone can sign at will. Hit next. It's going to open up a DocuSign. It's going to automatically place the majority of these signatures. You always want to go through and make sure, again, red flags if signatures are missed. But just go back and confirm here that we have everything checked. I'll just zip through this real quick. DocuSign's really good with these templates, so it's rare to see something messed up, but you just want to make sure, you know. Okay, this is one on the arbitration clause on here and liquidated damages and all that stuff. They have it optional. That's a DocuSign feature because, you know, it is an optional field, but I have this conversation with my buyer when they're signing this and say, hey, this is an optional field in DocuSign, but I'm recommending that you sign that. Again, we're all good here. We're all good here. All my stuff's here. Look how clean this offer has all the proper information in there. It looks good. It's gorgeous. Everything's here. All right, cool. So we have everything. I'm going to send. This part of the class may be a little boring for you guys, but it'll pay off in the end here. All right, so that's sent. So me as an agent in my car, you know, on the hood of my car, filling out this offer, I just did it. I'm going to sign my portion. So it just emailed me my portion of it. I'm going to sign all my agent boxes, hit finish. I'm done signing. I'm going to continue. Okay, then you have the conversation with your buyer right there in front of the house, you know, if that's the situation you're in. And where am I? Can you guys see me pretty good? Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, pull out your cell phone. I just sent you a DocuSign with the offer. Everyone has a cell phone these days. Pull your cell phone out, sign this offer right in front of the house. So I'm going to do that. I'm also the buyer in this. Not sure if you guys could see that, but on my phone, DocuSign has been sent to you from Drake Martin. Here's your offer to sign. Pretend I'm the buyer in this situation, so I'm going to go ahead and sign this. Bear with me. Like I said, this part could get a little stale, but it'll pay off. How are we doing, Vicki?
Doing well.
Have I said anything that you don't agree with yet?
Nope.
We're all good?
Not all. Can all learn something new every day.
That's right. Okay, so I'm doing a little quick on my phone there, but that should be in here now. So I'll show you what this looks like. I have my DocuSign open. Under completed, here's my completed offer on the Junipero property. I'm going to save this to my desktop. Don't mind my spelling, I'm just going a little quick here. All right, so I'm on a Mac. This is, if you guys are PC users, this may look a little weird to you what I'm about to do, but you have the same ability to do it on a PC as well. I'm not familiar with the program that does, but I guarantee what I'm about to do, you could do on a PC. Mac isn't that special. So everyone could see like Catalina Island now.
Yep.
Right?
Want to be there.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. So I have my offer. This is what I just filled out. I have my signatures, test buyer, my signatures, everything's looking good on here. Now, if you remember the beginning of the conversation we had, we want to submit a complete and full and beautiful looking offer. What does that mean? I want to have my proof of funds. I want to have my pre-approval letter. I want to have my FICO scores on there. And I want it all to look good and in one package. I hate you get an offer and you have to email them back, hey, send me the other stuff that I asked for. I don't have to chase paperwork from you as a buyer's agent. Make this as easy as possible for me. So I just pulled these off the internet. These are not real proof of funds or FICOs. But while I'm talking about it, just reminded me, if you're writing an offer, oh yeah, you guys will notice this on my offer. Like I said, we were going quick.
Hey, Drake, can I say something real quick?
I don't have a purchase price in my offer. Oh my God, that's bad.
Yeah.
But like I said, we were flying through. Obviously, I'd take more time and do all that. But yeah, no purchase price. I'm the agent that I just talked crap about this whole time. What offer is this? This is crap. But let's just suppose I'm submitting it at 450. My pre-approval letter better say 450 or higher. You know, you used to get an offer at 450 and their pre-approval letter is 4 months old. And it says they're approved for a $300,000 house. That's not going to work for me as a listing agent. So don't do that.
I have two questions for you, Drake. One is, what's the difference between a pre-qual and a pre-approval? And then the other is, do you include the copies of the buyer's ID in the offer package?
I typically don't put the IDs in there. The pre-approval, the pre-qualification letter is more of a preliminary letter. The pre-approval is a little bit deeper, but I don't. What's your opinion on that, Vicki? They're pretty much the same to me, right?
But yeah, unless that I guess DU approval or
yeah, I mean DU approval.
Where they've taken more information subject to getting the information.
Yeah. So pre-qual, pre-approval. It's kind of an interchangeable term. I was the pre-approval is a little bit deeper of an application, but that's kind of, splitting hairs there. So,
hey, Drake, I also write a cover letter. I put a cover letter from my family saying how much they enjoy the house and the neighborhood, and I include a little picture with that.
Yep.
Family.
Absolutely. Those are effective as well. I don't have one of those in my example, but those are extremely effective. What I'm about to show right now is a way to get all of that stuff in one combined PDF. So let's just suppose that we did have a cover letter. Let me just go into this real quick and then I'll show you this. So this is my offer, the 15-page or 16-page RPA. Like I said, I'm doing this on a Mac, so it may get a little confusing for some of you. But I have saved here my sample bank statement, my sample pre-app, my sample credit report. So on a Mac, the way that I do this, I'm going to pull over my sample pre-approval letter. I'm going to drop it in there. It's going to drop in there. I'm going to pull over my sample bank statement. I have no idea what these things said. I literally saved them from the internet an hour before the class. I'm going to pull over my sample credit report, throw that in there. So you can see that I have everything all in one PDF, and look how clean it looks. This is a little fuzzy, but it's not a scan of a pre-approval letter. It's not a scan of a bank statement. It's not a scan of the FICO score. It's clean. It looks good. If you did have a cover letter, explaining, hey, this is my client, this is who they are, you could add that in same way. I'm just going to throw the pre-approval letter back in there. And let's just pretend that is my cover letter. So you put your cover letter first. This is a little trick that I like to do that not most agents do, but for me, I think it's not super important, but it's helpful, right? So we all know in the first couple pages of the RPA, you get the agency disclosure, you get the PRBS, you get the wire fraud. I do understand why it's at the top, but when you send me an offer, and if someone does this, I love when they do this. I'm gonna move those 4 pages below page 10 of the actual RPA, and I'll show you why I do that personally. So again, this is a Mac feature, so like I said, if you're on PC, I'm sure there's a way you can do it. So this is what my offer looks like when I send it over. Page 1, pretend that this is a pre-approved or a cover letter with a picture of the family and a description. Obviously, it's a pre-approval letter. Yeah, hold on. Change my view here. Okay, page 1, the reason why I moved those pages down, because right now as a listing agent, I'm looking at the first page of the offer. It's all the stuff that I want to see. You know, I don't want to see the agency. I don't want to see a PRBS. You know, it seems like a small thing, but I'm going to scroll down 4 pages just to get to what I actually want to see. So now I get your offer here, page 1, page 2, all the way down to, you know, the end of the actual RPA at page 10. And I just move the agency down behind page 10 and page 2 of the agency and the PRBS and the wire fraud and the buyer's inspection and the CCPA. And then again, this is my pre-approval letter, my bank statement, and my FICO score. So that is a clean looking offer that you could submit. So another thing, like I said, this could get nitpicky, but who sent over an offer and the name of the PDF is like a bunch of numbers and a bunch of crap, right? That just, it's another unprofessional looking thing to do. So you're gonna go in here, you're gonna put the actual address of this property, Via Junipero, Sierra 5683. And I put offer, and I put my buyer's name. On this offer, it was test buyer, so let's just say the buyer's last name is Buyer, whatever. And I put a date on it, 17/20. I saved that. Okay. So now what we have, when I go to send this to that listing agent, and like I said, I just showed you guys this, I have a beautiful PDF offer with my cover sheet, with digital signatures that look great, with my pre-approval letter, with my FICO scores, with my bank statement, and everything is gorgeous. And then again, this is when you call up that listing agent again and say, hey, I'm outside the house. They loved it so much. I just signed an offer with them in front of the house. You could expect to have it in the next 10 minutes. And when you're that listing agent, that's an impressive thing that you could say to that agent. Wow, this agent's tech savvy. They wrote out an offer from the front of the house. They loved it that much. The agent's been professional. They've been talking to me throughout this entire process. We've been discussing terms. I already feel like I'm working with this agent, and we haven't even opened up escrow yet. But I already feel like this is the person that I want to do business with. They sent me the offer from the front of the house. It looks beautiful. It's not scanned. It doesn't have any weird things on it. It's filled out correctly. It has digital signatures. This agent knows how to use technology. This is the person that I want to work with. They get things done. They didn't have to wait 2, 3, 4 days to send me over this offer. They're go-getters. They're not sitting on their hands and being lazy. They're getting things done. They're making it happen. I love, this is the agent that I want to work with.
So Drake, I got a couple questions here if you're ready.
Yeah, and we got 5 minutes left, so I'm ready to wrap it up. And that's pretty much everything that I have as far as that. So just a real quick wrap up. Be professional. Communicate with the listing agent. Submit over an offer that's filled out correctly, that doesn't have a bunch of weird scans, that looks good. Use digital signature if you can. Communicate, and send over that offer in a clean fashion with pre-approval and all the information that they need, and make it easy for that agent to trust you. So that's what I have. I'll take all the questions that I could get.
All righty, several. One says, often talk to the buyer when writing up the offer about splitting the escrow or title fees. Is that something you recommend?
Yeah, so typically escrow fees are split anyway. So when you write your offer, you definitely want to put, well, we'll pull this up here so we can get right to your question. Oh. Hold on, let me find this. Buyer and seller, each to pay their own fees. So yeah, you say, hey, we split these escrow fees. This is what we do. This is customary to do that. You don't want to put 50-50. Your office might have a different stance on this, but splitting escrow fees 50-50, the buyer might have a different escrow fee than the seller. The seller might have a different escrow fee than the buyer. So each to pay their own fees. That's what we put in there. Buyer pays their own fees, seller pays their own fees, and they get, they get split. For title, typically buyers and sellers aren't splitting that. Typically the seller's picking that one up. So I would stay with what's customary and say, hey, seller, you're paying for that insurance policy.
Okay.
Yep.
Another question is, the cover sheet is one-page document. Then the second page is the offer page. Is this your recommendation?
My recommendation, yes, is if you are using a cover sheet, you put that in the front, agent opens it up. I get a picture of, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer with their kids and an explanation, and it makes me all warm and fuzzy inside. And then I scroll down to page 2 and I'm like, oh, wow, there's the first page of the RPA. I have price, I have closing date, I have everything I need. So yeah, that is my personal recommendation, yes.
As a matter of practice, may I add on to that though?
Yeah, of course.
When you're presenting the offer, when you get the offer from the buyer's agent to your seller, you must start with the agency. You're required to start with the agency before you get to the purchase agreement, just so that part's clear.
Okay, yeah.
A question. To go back to DocuSign, where the other agent has a DocuSign with good forms and DocuSign coincide with each other? I've had a problem with that.
I'm not sure I heard the question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Zipform and DocuSign talk to each other. Zipform and DocuSign do talk to each other. So they bring the signatures over if you're using DocuSign. Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Would that be if you signed up with zip forms for the DocuSign?
Yeah, I purchased DocuSign through Zipforms, so I don't know if there's like a special connection there. But that's the way I would do. I would go to Zipforms to purchase DocuSign. It might be different if you just like go to DocuSign and purchase. They don't know what industry that you're in. Or they're actually no. There's like a linking that you do. So when you purchase DocuSign, you link your Zipforms account, and that ties everything in. And it's for all forms. Sellers, they could fill out SPQs, TDSs in DocuSign. It's really easy, really smooth. I haven't used ZipLogics, but when I did 2 to 3 years ago, it was terrible for filling out TDSs and all that stuff. So.
There's another, as a newer agent, can you please go over the legal and professional way to deliver the PDF offer? Sorry to have you go over this again. I wasn't aware that you could rearrange the RPA pages.
Yep. So for me, delivering the offer, whatever their instructions in the MLS is, obviously, a little bit of the old school ways, they used to walk into the listing agent's office and hand it to them and do all that. That doesn't really happen anymore. So if they're requesting it by email, just send it to the email that they're requesting and send that over. As far as the legal stuff, I'm not sure the legal ramifications of submitting an offer. You just send it on over and to their email, it gets delivered. So.
I think he was saying that he wasn't aware that you could rearrange the pages.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it. And if you talk to CR Legal or the Zipforms people, or even Vicki mentioned it, they do want these agency forms up at the top, because before you even go into the RPA, hey, you're discussing agency, you're discussing all these legalities before. I just know that when I'm a listing agent, I like that first page in the front. That's my preference. That's the way I've been doing it.
Another question, cover sheet page 1, RPA offer page 2 is what I was referring to. I'm not sure I'm clear. Do you want to unmute yourself, Aaron, and pose the question?
Thanks for taking my question. I'm a newer agent, and first up, I just wanted to say thank you for the class. It was very well done and very tech savvy, and so thank you so much. I just had a quick question. I loved how he created that PDF offer, and I just heard one thing from you, Vicky, that the cover sheet is there, but I was just unclear for page 2 having the RPA offer as page 2, as opposed to some of those mandatory disclosures in the RPA is what I was referring to.
There's 2 issues here. Drake, you're talking about the professional way to get it to the listing agent so that they look at it and are very receptive to your offer.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the mechanics of the listing agent actually presenting the offer. So there are 2 kind of steps, if you will. Do you agree, Drake?
Correct. Yeah. What Vicky is saying is the mechanics of delivering the offer. Yeah. Technically, those 2 agency forms should be discussed first. That's why Zip Forms puts them at the top. When I'm receiving your offer, yeah, I want that first page. But if I'm going to send it over and discuss it with my seller, yeah, those first 2 pages should technically be at the top there. For me, it's not a big deal. I mean, if your office and Vicky, if you teach it differently and you say, hey, don't move those kind of disclosure forms down to the bottom, you could tell your office that. In our office, it's I mean, this is something that we do. So, I mean, if you want to, Vicky, if you say, hey, don't put those at the bottom, then that's between you and ABR. So
You say tomato, I say tomato.
yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, so I mean, I like to have it when I'm submitting it. When I'm submitting it an offer, and when I'm the listing agent, I like when these 2 pages are at the front. If you don't do it, what I typically do is I just move them there and review them with my seller. But those forms, we discussed those forms when we were accepting the offer. So
Excellent. Thanks for the clarification. I appreciate it.
yep. Got anything else? I'll stay on as long as you guys need.
Anyone want to unmute themselves and ask a question? Okay, I don't know.
I think everyone's good.
Yeah, great presentation. Thank you, Drake.
Thank you.
Really, I love the way you did the tech from digital from beginning to end. That was awesome.
Yep. And like I said, I'm literally on my laptop. I don't have anything special here. So what I just did, I've done in front of a house. I'm not making it up. I've done it in front of a house using my cell phone hotspot, writing an offer right on the spot. I'm just getting things done. So, all right, well, if there's no more questions, then.
Yeah. Wait. Just one little one, okay? Because I've come across many different cases, many different transactions, many different stuff. And I have, before I show the house, I've put my cover and this and everything, even on page 2. And as much as I can on page 2. And when I get there, it's a whole different scenario where I had to go back and I could submit the forms that I had already did with my templates and stuff because it was a whole different scenario.
That
and I had
might
to change names and whatnot.
Yeah, that might be an issue that you're having with technically or something like that. But you're in the town and country office. You could chat with me offline. We could discuss that.
Okay, thank you.
I don't want to hold hostage everyone's time on technical things. All right, well, I think that's probably it. So I appreciate you guys logging in and joining me. I'm available to all of you guys at any time. So if you need my phone number, I'm going to type it in the chat here real quick. You guys could take that down if anybody wants it. So I'm going to throw that in there, and feel free to call or email me or get a hold of me somehow. Oh, I just sent that directly to Vicky. Send to everyone. All right, so if you want that, you want my phone number, there it is. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'll hang out for like 10 seconds so that you guys can copy that if you want it, but it's in the chat box there, and we'll end this in like 15 seconds. So thanks, everyone.
And it is
Thank you.
videoed. It is videoed, so we will send to you a link to all the offices so that you can post on your private Facebook pages.
Sounds good. All right, thanks, guys. I appreciate your time.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.